Street Champs, come get put on. Today we're in here with Isomer, Smitherzzz, got my boy Dave. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. It's a
Fantastic, baby, fantastic.
Appreciate it. All right. Dave, you kind of put this whole thing together. How you doing?
Doing good. So first of all, really happy to have you guys here. So Pat, longtime friend of mine, one of my first homies I met in college, introduced us, and I noticed you guys were hosting this cool ass EDM event here in Pueblo. And it's the second I saw that, I was like, bro, we have to both advertise and get you guys on pod. Like, this is a perfect opportunity, like symbiotic relationship. We can advertise for you guys. You guys get your message out more. It's great content. And so that being said, I'm just really happy to have you guys here.
For sure. Thanks for having us.
We appreciate you guys having us. Street Champs kind of doing something similar. Me and Nick are trying to pave the way, create a lane. You guys are doing the podcast. We're trying to do the music, specifically the EDM lane.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Hell yeah. For the people that don't know, like, what kind of music you guys make, how would you describe your music just right off the bat?
So for me, it kind of is all over the place, but it's all electronic dance music, you know what I mean? But it's music pulling influences from everywhere, you know, because growing up, I was always into rock and metal type thing. And then as I
see those vibes.
As I progressed, you know, I got into a more wide variety of music and kind of found that the rock and metal wasn't really aligning with my, like, you know, intentions. Because, you know, growing up, I had, like, a lot of anger in me and a lot of, like, pain type thing. But as I healed and become more of myself, I wanted to align myself with music that was more about love and peace and, you know, and the message I'm trying to say. And just fun, really. That's what it's all about to me.
Is there like a subgenre of EDM that
so like deep dubstep is probably like the main one, but also like, I mean, I throw in a little D&B here and there, you know. Sometimes it just goes all around, you know. It's kind of, I don't really like to put a name on it, but it's experimental bass, freeform bass music type thing, you know.
Well, for me, my music influence started for me with hip hop. I'm obviously really big into hip hop, R&B, so I've been DJing for about 10 years now. So I try and fuse that hip hop with, again, that umbrella term that we use, that EDM. If I had to get more specific, I'm really into, I dig the dubstep vibes for sure. Also definitely fuck with the D&B. For me, I'm just really into that heavy kind of grimy, like, bass.
Say the
bass
crunchy
stuff,
bass,
man. It's like
shit.
kind of goes back to like his rock and roll thing. I feel like today's rock and roll is kind of like EDM bass music. It's headbanging stuff, stuff to get you moving, stuff to get the body moving.
Indeed.
Stuff you can feel.
I gotta say, like, I've met a lot of people recently who I've talked to who also said the same story as me, who they started with rock and metal, and, you know, rock and metal kind of fell off. Like, if you look at the radio right now, there's not really anything that, in my opinion, that's that good coming out, you know? And so, like, those people don't really have, like, music to represent them type thing. And I think a lot of people are turning to this EDM as this high energy, high fun, you know, type of thing. And it's a beautiful thing, you know?
Would you say that some of your music is, or both of your music is, like, you're trying to fuse, like, the nostalgia with, like, the current wave and then, like, some rhythmic combination of the two?
For sure. I mean, the nostalgia comes in the form of, like, remixes and flips. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Like, classic songs that we all love, that get the crowd moving, that everyone knows, but you introduce it in a new way with that crunchy bass, you know, that makes you move, that commands you to move, you know, and brings us all together.
I think that's kind of what got me into the genre in general. And I think that's something more. I don't go to as many shows as I used to, but in the past, that's what I gravitated towards. Stuff that does have those heavy kind of, again, the hip hop samples, kind of brings you in that way, and then you fuse it with that, again, that EDM, that bass heavy stuff. And that's kind of what I try and do, because everybody likes familiarity a little bit. But for me, I'm always trying to play things that people haven't heard either, trying to give them new experiences sonically.
And one point I'd like to bring up is that, you know, when I was younger in rock bands and writing rock music and stuff like that, I did always feel limited because I never, like, felt like I wanted to produce one genre of music. But with EDM, that gives me the freedom to produce whatever I want and pull influences from whatever genre and put it into it. In addition to that, I was a guitar player and singer. With this, I'm a composer, and I
Yeah.
can play any instrument I like. If I need strings, if I need a flute, if I need a synth, if I need drums, whatever I need, vocals, I can pull it and orchestrate it by myself without the need for a band or collaborating with other people, which is nice to collaborate with other people, but at the end of the day, it's nice to be able to sit there as a composer and have all these tools at your disposal with the technology we have now to create the sound that's in your head, you know, and convey it to your audience.
Hell yeah.
All right. Before we get into like all the music and stuff, how
Right.
old are you guys?
I'm 24.
24.
I just turned 30 this past March.
Where you guys from?
I was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, but I've moved all around the country my whole life. I spent some time in Denver as a kid, Ohio, Nebraska. Don't really claim one place as like my origin place, but I love Colorado.
I'm from good old Pueblo.
Oh yeah.
Born and raised, baby.
You said all right. So you said you had some anger as a child. You know, walk me through like growing up. What were you like as a kid?
Man, it was a rough upbringing, honestly. Like, you know, I parents divorced pretty young, you know, and I went through some
Like what age?
about 4 is when they divorced, you know, and I went through some complicated situations, you know, in a household moving around, you know, mother figuring out what she wanted to do led to some precarious situations that personally I won't go into right now, but you know, it led me to kind of go off on my own, you know, and around 16 I kind of went off on my own and found my own way and eventually came out here, and I've been out here in Pueblo for 5 years. And when I got out here, actually I came out here with a girlfriend. Me and her broke up. I was on my own.
Fuck that
Didn't
bitch.
have fuck that bitch. But I didn't have no money. Jobs were kind of tough to find around that time. It was like 2017 or so, something like that. And so right before all that, she actually totaled my Tahoe. So I didn't have a whip or nothing. So I had a skateboard.
Damn.
Here in Pueblo, I ended up meeting one friend who was this like nomadic type of guy who, you know, got me into skating and stuff and taught me how to go around and showed me the way around town and introduced me to people and kind of got me connected and helped me like rise up, you know. And so I started just working at the Taco Bell in Abriendo, you know, and eventually one thing led to another, you know, and I found myself in a position where I had decent connections and good friends who could help lift me up, you know what I mean? And that's actually how I ended up getting introduced to EDM out here in Colorado, because, you know, base capital of America here in Denver and Colorado in general. And some friends brought me some shows, and I was just taken by the community and you know, really found my tribe in that type thing, you know, felt at home.
Smitherzzz, what about you? What kind of kid were you?
I was just always heavily involved in sports, kind of a good kid. My mom worked in a prison, so she was just always not having bullshit. Single parent. Just, I don't know, man. I feel like my childhood was, again, just mostly sports. I went to East High School. Shout out East High School, was good. Little football, little wrestling. That was fun. Never really that much in trouble. Probably didn't even drink my first beer until like senior year. Then, you know, played football in college for a little bit, went to Fort Lewis for a little bit. Then I started dabbling in, you know, a little bit of misfit conduct, yada yada, and that's actually where I started DJing too, was Fort Lewis. Shout out Durango, and shout out my boy Jay Benzo, my roommate. He's actually a rapper. He's from LA, and he started his rapping career. He started his production career, and I started DJing heavy. And we just kind of what we do here, man. We kind of just throw parties and just rage and just let the music lead the way. But I was a good kid.
I remember in college, when like the whole group, the whole like traveling EDM group would go to like, you know, like Electric Forest, Bonnaroo, all those epic like shows. I saw that like I went to a couple of those shows. Like we went to Outcast at Fiddler's Green.
Ooh,
that
was a good
was
show.
that was a nutty show. But like I got a very slim glimpse of EDM, and for the shows that I attended, it was pretty intense. But when I saw Grizz perform, like that was wonderful. But I feel like around that time, I was noticing, because you were living in Denver at that point, I feel like that's when you got a lot more enveloped in like the traveling music scene. And I feel like that has had a huge influence, because like I've seen the videos that you guys have posted in the past, and that shit looks so fun.
Yeah. Shout out to PDC. That's who you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
All the old homies that
Was it like a click name?
Yeah, that was like our
What would that stand for?
Oh God.
this is the Polio Dance Crew, because we were just every time we would just hit a gig, man, we were just when you go to EDM show, it's like
You get polio.
you just that's what it looks like when we dance, because everybody just has their own vibe, but nobody cares what you dance like, and I think that kind of goes back to the vibe Nick was talking about. It's a very welcoming community, very very friendly community. Nobody cares the fucking baggage you're gonna bring. And everybody's just there to have a good time, vibe with the music, and to have good vibes and chill. And my first Electric Forest is this music festival in Rothbury, Michigan. My sister took me to my very first one when I was like 18. Shout out Dre, my sister. And she took me to see an artist she was really into, Pretty Lights. Pretty Lights pretty much baptized me into the EDM scene. And shout out Pretty Lights because he's back now. That was my first Electric Forest. Went to a few years later with the homies to Electric Forest, and yeah, really just seeing again that community, but just man, all the experimental shit people do with music, man, just really definitely inspired me, and yeah, it's definitely had a big impact on me personally.
All right. Well, all right. How did you guys, Dave? How long did you guys know each other before this?
This is our first time meeting us too.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Okay. How long have you guys known each other?
So I met Pat. What was it, like 2 years ago,
About 2
something
years.
like that.
Yeah, about 2 years.
I met Larry. Rave Chappelle. Shout out to him.
I don't know Larry at all. I'm just
He's a friend of ours.
Everybody
He's
knows
helped-
Larry.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
don't know you know Larry. Yeah, shout out Rave Chappelle, Lawrence Lucero. That's the homie. He's kind of like curating the event. He's got his
He's helping promote and all
hands
that.
and fingerprints and all kinds of shit all over Colorado. So that's the homie, and he'll be at the event, and he's promoting heavy. But
Huge entrepreneur.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
texted Alyssa, and she's the one that read out the flyer out loud, and I was like, well, I don't really care.
yeah,
I was just sitting over there like, sure.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's cool.
But then I told him, I was like, yeah, that's the homies event, y'all two's event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we'd already
Yeah.
organized this interview.
So when is this event that we keep
So-
alluding to?
It's May 13th on a Saturday. It's going to be at the Broadway Tavern. Shout out to them. Greg Frankmore, the owner, for allowing a variety of music at that place. He's really doing the thing in Pueblo, trying to have a big palette of different music there, and I think it's one of the better places to go in town if you're trying to see some music, especially now that we're starting this, and I plan to keep it going. I plan to keep having these things and have Pat back and start this kind of scene down here. And I think that Broadway's a good place to start it because they're allowing me to kind of just have free will to do whatever I want there with the space, and I appreciate that a lot because I think we can really do something with it.
Are you guys a group?
So no, me and Pat are just individual, artists ourselves. But the thing is about a year ago, you played at a party at Blowback for Halloween that was ran by a friend of ours, and I seen how he threw down and how he had the crowd moving and all that. And so when I was planning this event, this is my first event doing electronic music. I wanted a little bit of support, and it was easy to think of him, and bring him on board. And I figured that'd be cool to have two acts, have a different variety of music, because while we both do EDM, I'm sure our sets are going to be a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Definitely going to be different. Yeah, this is not the first time we've tried to I don't know, just kick the scene off necessarily, like he was alluding to. Buddy Evan Montoya's put together a couple of events. Shout out Evan Escapism, follow him on Instagram. He's his own artist as well. We had a couple Halloween parties at Blowback Gallery. Shout out Blowback. That's an art gallery downtown. They're really tight. Yeah, but in where Nick comes in is Nick has steamrolled this whole event. He's doing it real professional style. He plans on recording things. He's hitting the flyers, the early promotion. So that really speaks to Nick's just leadership in this role. And yeah, this is going to be different than anything we've ever done in this town for sure.
I mean, I've been privileged to see you throw down sets at like house events, and you killed it. I'm good, but I'm excited to see because I know what's funky and what people like to hear. Yeah. I'm excited to see what you have to bring because it's gonna be all new with all your influences that you've cited. That's exciting. You're gonna stab at a bunch of different points in my childhood musically, and I just love the sound of that. I think that Pueblo, we were kind of alluding to this earlier before pod. I think Pueblo's music scene is right on the cusp, and I think one thing that's working in your favor is like you referenced the PDC. There's a lot of locals here that are very EDM savvy, and we're just not privileged to have it locally. So it's like all those people that we know are driving to Springs, driving to Denver, driving out of state. The barrier to entry now is it's in town.
And
so I think that's going to be huge. I think that's a huge variable. It's not necessarily like a first mover advantage, more so than it's just an untapped market. And I'm looking forward to it. And like that repetition, like brand footprint, I think is going to be what's going to be key. Because once everyone sees this and has a good time, you have no choice but to want to do it again. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And the response we've got so far, just like since I've announced it and, you know, talking to not only my friends, but just people, you know, on social media and people just in general, everyone's excited about it. I mean,
oh, yeah.
There is definitely a hunger for something different because, like, you know, like, I mean, when I go out on the town in Pueblo, you know, I go to the Senate, I'll go to First and Main, I'll go to, you know, wherever, you know, and there'll be music acts, and a lot of them are great, but, like, a lot of, like, the DJ acts, they stay very safe, you know what I mean? And they stay with the reruns of 90s, early 2000s, R&B, top 40, you know, because, I mean, that is safe, and that's what the masses are down to dance to. But, you know, I want to see something a little more artistic, a little something different, a little something creative and unique, you know, and I think Pueblo really does want that. It is a town that does have an artistic spirit, you know, and I think they deserve it, you know, and there's a lot of people, like you said, that do travel up to Denver and up to Springs to see these shows, and
I think that they play that music on purpose, though.
They do, for sure.
They don't want that crowd. You know, it's a certain crowd that's gonna be driven to this.
But see, and the
each
thing
kind of
is,
music.
That's a
though,
good point.
is the crowd with EDM, as we mentioned earlier, is like it's a very kind crowd. It's a very welcoming crowd and loving crowd, and I don't think it's a bad crowd at all. I think it's
That's the perception. I mean, that's what you would say, being in the crowd and being in that community. But I think the perception is, you know, drugs, fucking
sure,
like
sure.
loudness, bass, like shakingness.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds great.
Yeah, it does, but like
No disagreement.
in the, you know, the business owners have a different mindset.
Well, I mean, I would like to tell that to, you know, businesses in Denver who, you know, are killing it and making millions a year off this very thing. You know what
It's
I mean?
true.
And it's a huge market, and I think hiding under, like, trying to avoid anything that might be, I don't know, a little risque in the sense of business is not necessarily a good business choice. You know, it makes more sense to be open to progression, and I think the world is definitely becoming more open to the weird and the different and the, you know, the out there. And I mean, and the whole drug thing associated with EDM is, you know, while a lot of people do drugs in the community, there's a lot of people who don't, and those who don't are never shamed for not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you guys dabble in anything?
I mean, of course, but, you know.
I mean, I think it enhances the experience if you go to like a very like electronic based environment and you do some type of hallucinogen, because it just expands the experience.
For sure.
It's not a mandatory thing. I have not per se attended an EDM show just completely sober, so I don't know what that experience is like. That being said, I do see where you're coming from on like the stigma, but can we all be a little bit mutually honest that stigma kind of applies to most, like, not the equivalent
That's
stigma,
music and art
but
in general.
a lot of live performances have that behavior.
You could walk down to, I don't know, what are the poppin' bars in Pueblo? The Favorite, the Senate. Any given
Favorite's closed.
Yeah.
Is it closed? Okay,
Yeah.
so that teaches you how
The Senate and Chelsea's.
in touch
That's
I am.
20
Okay, so the Senate and Chelsea. Any given Friday or Saturday? You telling me there's nobody doing drugs in those bars?
Oh no, there's definitely people doing drugs in those
So
bars.
it's like
A lot.
Yeah.
And EDM's
A
not
lot.
being played, so
So
it is and isn't a catalyst. is what you're
Anywhere,
saying.
and we forget alcohol, y'all. Like, just because, you know, alcohol is the legal one, it's the one that the government doesn't hate and doesn't tell us not to do. It's honestly the most impacting and most damaging of all. And every day people are out there drinking, and, you know, and the thing is
Shout out Big Bear.
at
Use code
least
Street Channel.
in the EDM community, we have these organizations like Dance Safe and Bunk Police who try to get people to test their drugs, you know, not be doing shitty shit, you know what I mean? It also has this community of, if someone's tripping on acid, say, at a show, you know, and they're having a hard time, there's that unspoken rule that you help them out, you know, that you give them their space and you support them, you know what I mean? Whereas I think a lot of other genres aren't necessarily as loving of
Forgiving.
one another, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
So like a good example that I can relate to this is like I've had a bunch of buddies that have gone, like Pat included, to EDM or Electric Forest, I'm sorry, and it's a camping experience, and there's a lot of trust in a camping experience when you're away from your belongings. I've also had friends who've gone to like the Gathering of the Juggalos, and during one of the sets, someone went and stole like all of their belongings worth value out of their tents. So it's like, I've not yet heard of an experience that grimy in an EDM things. I've heard of some sus things happening in like
It happens.
I've heard of like Red Rock's parking lot type stories, but I haven't heard of like, yo, I went to Electric Forest or I went to like Burning Man and they stole all my shit. Like that does happen. It's not as frequent as I would say on some of those other genres per se, from what I've noticed.
That's a subjective.
Oh yeah, I don't have any data to support that opinion.
I mean, but I mean, especially in the past when the scene was a little bit more confined, that definitely was the case. You definitely could be a little bit more trustworthy. But as things expand and they grow, you know, you get people who are, you know, probably there for the wrong reasons or whatever. But
fair enough.
That happens in, you know, in anything in life. But
do you guys have any stories that's happened to you guys at all? Anything stolen from you or some friends?
One time, my second time at Electric Forest, I did get a couple things stolen from me. Nothing too crazy, but my girlfriend at the time had bought me this, like, I don't even really remember what it was.
At the time.
It was just like this, it was just like this portable shower is what it was. People get funky.
They took the shower?
They took the portable shower. People get funky, bro.
Hey,
so
man,
like,
you be getting funky out there. I get
funky. So I was like, but I am sure there are, you know, more serious cases out there. But that's my story, stealing wise. Nothing too crazy, but I mean it happens. And
yeah.
You know,
everywhere, you know, there's dark parts of all places.
Grimy people everywhere, man.
Sure. I've personally gotten pretty lucky. All the shows I've been to, I've really never had. I mean, other than, you know, like shitty college kids at Red Rocks who aren't really part of the scene, like throwing their shooters up and being annoying and like trying to take your spot and shit. But other than that, like I've had like nothing but beautiful experiences at these shows, and I'm in a lot of like Facebook groups for like the EDM community, and like every time after the show, there's always like this outpour of people like saying, "Hey, I found these items," trying to find the owner. You know, and it's just usually a very respectful community for the most part, I would say.
Plur, man.
Exactly.
Plur, baby.
Yeah. Respect. That's what it's all about.
I love it. Fuck yeah.
You know what I've noticed is a big part of Plur?
What's that?
Bracelets.
They got the candy they do.
They do. I love that. I love the dressing up.
None of this is actually candy. There's a Plur handshake. I don't know about
not to sound like not to sound like a
Super
boomer,
old school.
but what is Plur?
Peace, love, unity, respect is what it stands for, and that's kind of what
the mantra.
That's kind of like the foundation of that scene, that culture. What everything
I've seen it. I just never knew what it was
based off of in the past. Yeah, and there's like the what he's talking about is the bracelets. You know, like I don't even know what it's called. Like the little plastic beads.
Candy.
It's called candy. Have you seen that, David?
I've seen it. I just didn't know the significance.
That people will go crazy. People will go crazy making that stuff and spend hours upon hours. And then like they'll do a little Plur handshake that looks like the Itsy Bitsy Spider or something. And then they'll trade candy, and that's how you get different types of candy.
Well, and see, the thing is with the candy, and also like the way I love the way that people express themselves at these shows, and I hope that at our event that people come and they dress up the way they do when they go to Raves and stuff, because it's a place where people can go and be themselves and express themselves and act however they want and be who they are.
Is our event a rave, Nick?
I kind of want it to be.
Is it a rave?
That's what I'm shooting for in a way. You know, not necessarily a rave in the sense of a rave, but there's going to be lights, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be heavy bass and good times and, you know, good vibes. So, I mean, why not call it a rave, you know? I hope people come dressed up. I'm going to come dressed up. You know what I mean? Be yourself, you know? That's what it's all about.
Will there be like lights or like pyrotechnics or
we will not have any live flames inside the Broadway.
Pyrotechnics is hilarious.
But I do plan to bring some lights and hopefully some lasers. I'm also looking into bringing a screen for visuals and stuff. What? So I am trying to bring some production to this. I want it to look good as much as it sounds good.
For those who haven't been to the Broadway, it's not the biggest bar, but it's cool. It's a cool place. Yeah, we're going to pack it out, man. We're going to be moving the tables and stuff.
Yeah, we're going to clear it out, move the tables. It's definitely going to be an intimate experience for sure. Like, you know, it's going to be...
That's a good way to word it.
It's going to be sweaty. It's going to be grimy, but it's going to be fun, you know, and that's the vibe I like, you know what I mean?
Is there a ticket fee?
There is not. This will be a free show.
Tip your bartenders, though.
Yes, tip your bartenders.
Damn. No excuse not to pull up to that.
Pull up, man. You're gonna hear good sounds. You're gonna hear some shit you're gonna like, and you're gonna hear some shit you probably didn't think you'd like, but you probably will like. And I don't know, man. It's gonna be a party for sure.
In addition, I want to point out we're also having Sam Street Tacos food
Yes.
truck going to be
Nice.
at the
Shout out
event.
Sam.
He's
You guys know
providing
about Sam?
munchies.
Oh no, I know about Sam. He's running for mayor.
Oh, that's true. He is.
Yeah, you going down.
This
Street champs
homie-
for
Are
mayor,
you
baby.
really running for mayor?
Yeah, I'm running for mayor. Street champs for mayor.
Ooh,
Grayscale.
let's go.
Shout out Greyscale.
Shout out
too.
Greyscale. They're the goats.
It says Street Champs for mayor, but your name's Deryk.
But the brand is very the brand carries weight around town.
Okay, that's fair. David called me. He said, "Hey, the #1 podcast in town wants to have you and Nick on the podcast." And I was like, "Oh, how did Wake Up Pueblo hear about us?"
Oh fuck no.
What the
Yo.
fuck? Yo, clip
just
it.
kidding,
Yo.
just kidding.
Clip it.
Oh, damn.
Clip that.
I literally just went head to head with their fucking not head to head. We had like a
I've seen
a
it.
conversation. Oh, you saw it?
I didn't see
That
it.
was
You can tell me.
good. That was good, dude. Oh,
That
man.
homie brought not awkward, but he had attention.
Wait, what happened? What did?
First off, check the views.
Okay, I'll check the views.
No, but so I had this girl on here who was in the the Kick-Ass Film Festival.
Okay.
She had her own team, and she said it was rigged. And I just
Oh no, I saw that.
I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, for real. Like I did say a bunch of shit actually. Not gonna lie.
You instigator.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't front. Don't
Yeah,
be
I said that
front,
shit.
you.
I was like, I give Wake Up Pueblo like 7 more months before they're closed.
My man was stirring the pot.
But they watched it, and like their ex like marketing dude like hit me up, and he was like mad as fuck. And then he came on here and just kind of tried to defend it, and he had some good points.
That's cool that you had him on. That's very real of you, though.
Yeah.
Deryk was mad diplomatic for the whole thing too. And when I said he had like attention, I mean like you could tell he had a bone to pick or like a chip on his shoulder because he wanted to like say that he wanted to justify that film festival was legitimate. And I understand being a little like frustrated with that, but as I was watching it, I felt like his demeanor made his responses like a little bit more aggro than he could have been.
Yeah, he was fighting with Dylan more than me, bro. I was like, yo, y'all
Dylan's the
need to chill.
nicest dude ever.
No, they were both. They had to chill. Anyway, that's a funny one. No,
Yo, he got you
vibes
with that one.
were-
That was so good.
Vibes were
Burn.
rough.
No,
Damn.
but see, but there's a difference because it's like, and I'm not gonna pretend to know everything about what you guys are putting on here or what they're doing over there, but it just seemed like Wake Up Pueblo to me, again from the outside looking in, they were never really about actual things, actual people from in town, and obviously that's what you guys are about. So obviously that was just a little dig, a little. I'm a funny.
Yo, he hit it nail on
I'm
the
a funny
nail.
motherfucker,
dude.
but yeah,
Hammer
shout
on
out
the
to you
nail
guys.
right
What you guys are doing is very real. It's very again, groundbreaking, lane creating. So it's tight.
Yeah, man. Even crackheads are welcome. I want to have like.
Hey,
I
they'll
wanna
tell you
have
the
homeless-
best stories.
We had
Exactly.
We should talk to
we
some
had Sancho
crackheads.
Man on here.
R.I.P.
Oh,
bro.
yeah,
Rest in
RIP.
paradise.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
But anyway.
We were talking about Mayor C. That's how we got on here. Shout out Sam Street Tacos though. They will be pulling up if you guys get hungry.
They will.
Let's reel it back to music though. What year was the first year that you made a song? And same question for you. Like, what year was it? Or a mix. Yeah, your first project, let's say in EDM. When was that?
Well, I'll start that because I've just been doing it a little bit longer than Nick. I don't actually make my own music as of yet per se. I still have a lot to learn from the production side. Damn, my first mix was about 10 years ago, man. I remember, and Nick has something similar that he started out with DJing. I am a DJ.
Okay.
DJ is its own especially like for me, I'll speak for myself.
Okay.
DJ is its own form of artistry. I got my own turntables. I'm learning how to scratch. There's just there's levels to it, man. And
You're a composer.
yeah, of sorts, definitely. With again, just trying to bring in different ranges of music. So my first mix happened. I don't know, man. I remember kind of like I was alluding to earlier, just that experience in Durango when me and my homie were in our dorm, and he was doing his production shit, and I was learning the ins and outs of a basic ass plastic ass controller. Pop some Adderall, dude, and just and just learn.
Got your Kanye on.
A lot of it was just learning in the beginning, and that's it was shortly after that I made my first mix, and then you just never stop from there for me, and that's something that'll never stop again for me.
I love it. How about you, man? First song, first mix, project.
For me, like my life's always been a musical journey. Starting when I was like 9, I started playing guitar, getting into music and shit. And I ended up actually going to college for guitar performance. Got my associates in that. And I'd say my first like band was when I was about 16. I started a band in Mississippi, and we played a couple little gigs, and it was kind of hard to get everybody on the same page. You know what I mean? It was kind of a tough thing to cooperate with four guys. You know what I mean? When everybody's got shit going on. But always was creating, always was writing music and stuff. As far as like the electronic thing, like I said, it's been about in the last 2 years. I just got super into it and then started creating it and found a love for it. And so, in addition to DJing, I also produce music. And for this show, I will be playing 5 unreleased songs that will be part of a upcoming EP that'll come out shortly after the show.
Sick.
In addition to mixing music from my influences and all that. So this show is kind of going to be the kickoff for my career type thing, you know.
Hell yeah.
I want to start this and keep going from there. Once this happens, never stop dropping content, you know.
I like it, man.
Nick's very talented, especially for being in the earlier stages of his career. But I don't know, man. I remember about a year ago, he was just showing me some shit in his car, and I was just like, you actually made this? And like, it probably wouldn't be like top 10 radio bullshit that you hear, but man, he's the talent.
Can you play something right now on your phone?
I'd personally like to wait, just
Hey.
because that's going to be debuted at the show for the first time.
Smart. Very smart.
He'll come back, throw a mix down, but
Yeah, I'd be happy to come back and throw a mix.
A
afterwards.
concert, bro. Have him
Sure.
do
Yeah, that'd
concerts.
be dope.
it's like with a lot of things in life. Like you can tell when a motherfucker either you got it or you don't.
Mhm.
And Nick's got it, and
You got anything on your phone you could play?
I do not have. Well, you know,
Well, you're a DJ. DJs don't really,
You can go to my Smitherzzz_DJ on Instagram. You can check out a couple mixes there.
bro.
Put them on the big speaker. But
Um,
next time we'll plan something. We'll throw a mix down together
Yeah,
or
for
something.
sure. I'd be happy to do
That
that.
wouldn't be too hard
Yeah.
to put together.
Have them do a concert, bro. If you set them both of them up for a concert, that'd be cool.
that'd be sick. Go back to back.
Oh, dude, a back to back with both of you.
I don't. We'd have to
For a
like fit it
concert?
against this wall. This is where I do them. So like,
Nick just got
can
this
move stuff
fucking
out.
heavy ass piece of equipment, the Rain 4, and he can plug in like 2 laptops. So that's something that's very doable in the future if you guys want to do that.
Dude, that'd be
But
insane.
yeah. that'd
Do
be sick.
it. That would be fire.
I don't really have life, bro. We could just do it.
You only
like,
have one
this
mix
week.
being made on a concert. Every other concert's either singing or rapping. So you guys would be, technically, because Nigel did one, huh? He like made a beat live,
He made a beat live.
but it's kind of different from what you guys did. Like he made a beat live. You guys are doing EDM, so that'd be the first EDM concert on Street Champs.
That'd be so fun.
Be cool.
that it kind of gives me back to the vibes. The last time I did something like that was going IG live, like during the pandemic,
Oh
in
yeah.
my room in the dungeon, the old Jerry Murphy house. But man, like that shit can just
It's very Mark Ribier,
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the
Pandemic.
room, just doing it.
The pandemic was honestly, I think, a really interesting time for music. I think it was a time where a lot of people had time to hone their craft, because they couldn't go out. And I love all those live streams that a lot of the musicians I like did, and it was an interesting time for music. Weird time for the world, but I think we got a lot of good out of it in terms of art and creation. you know?
Absolutely. And like those times of isolation, a lot of people will turn to their crafts and their hobbies, and art is like, it's like you typically get that, historically speaking, when you have like lulls in like economic stances or stuff like that. Art typically thrives in those environments. A question that I was gonna ask, kind of reeling it back earlier, because you were talking about the originally being in a band and stuff like that. So like I remember when I was growing up in my hometown in Columbia, Missouri, we had a huge metal scene, and I felt like the metal scene was like kept metal very relevant up until I moved here to like go to college in 2012. Metal scene has since kind of subsided to what it once was. I feel like the scene relative to where you are has a huge influence on like what people are going to show up to listen to.
For sure.
And I feel like as a musician, it's if your goal is to attain more people to you, you kind of have to adjust, artist wise. And I think that's kind of interesting. And I feel like just having experienced some of like your mixes in the past, like you can take a whole bunch of familiar songs that we all know and love and maybe haven't heard in a while, and then do some things to enhance them. And I feel like, would you say that like as who's gonna attend the show is gonna get to experience like all those different things? Like you're gonna be able to like vicariously pull from all your genres that you were associated to?
I know at least in my set, which it is going to be a planned set that I'm rehearsing.
Hell yeah.
And I think in my set there definitely will be a nice handful of songs that people are going to recognize and have a nostalgic feeling for it. But they've been remixed in a way that aligns with this style, you know, and this heavy bass style of EDM. But I think there will also be a lot of music that no one has ever heard. A lot of the music I'm mixing, I mean, in addition to the songs I'll be playing that are mine, it's very obscure music. You know, it's not necessarily music that a lot of people know, but unless you're like into that genre. But I think that that's perfectly fine because it's going to be a fun environment where I think that a lot of people who are open-minded are going to come in there and maybe they're not into it at first are going to be into it. Because, I mean, I wasn't into it when I was brought to my first EDM show. I was that guy that was real bitter about it. And, you know, being a guitar player, I was always like, oh, those guys just turn knobs. They just press buttons. I didn't understand, you know, until I really got in it and started to experience the shows and then try to make it myself. And I realized, like, this is amazing. Like, this is the unlimited palette for someone to be ultimately creative however they want to be. You know what I mean? And I think people are going to be turned on to something that they hadn't necessarily tried before from this show.
Hell yeah. What about you?
I think, no doubt. Anybody who's ever seen me play a gig, play an event, knows that I'm definitely going to bring a heavy hip-hop element to anything I'm doing just because that's the shit I do fuck with. That's the shit that started me off. But there's no doubt that there will be a heavy EDM, again, bass influence. And I definitely know there are going to be some people in attendance that maybe that's not necessarily the vibe. Maybe they're just showing support, you know what I mean? But that's kind of what you do as a DJ. You turn people on to shit that, you know, they didn't know they were gonna fuck with, and they're gonna end up liking it. So yeah, it's definitely the goal.
And see, I'm personally not at all afraid of the fact that Pueblo doesn't necessarily have an established EDM community, because I know that there's gonna be a lot of people there that do love it, and like you said, the people that travel to Denver and stuff. I think them alone are going to be creating an energy in that room that's going to be contagious, you know, and people who just like to have fun and like to dance are going to like it just because it's going to be a fun environment. It's going to be a good time. You know what I mean?
I mean, I like the classic example that, like, not everyone likes R&B, but when, like, Remix to Ignition comes on, most people start to dance.
Whoa, that's a crazy.
No pun on R. Kelly, of course.
Deryk, do you still listen to R. Kelly?
I mean, I never really listened to him that hard, but, like, I'm not going to, like, I don't really, yeah, I do, I guess. I won't pussyfoot about it. I do.
Trapped in the
Do you?
Closet is awesome.
I was about to say, yeah,
It's
the
a hot
closet,
take,
bro.
but,
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny.
That's a deep
It's
cut.
funny. Yeah,
That's
it's
a deep
deep cut.
I ain't
the
afraid of hot
deepest.
takes.
But, like, with that take, though, what I was saying is, like, okay, so if you're at an EDM show, like, when you just hear the umbrella term EDM, some people will jump to conclusions like Skrillex and, like, stuff like that, which that cultivates an awesome atmosphere, absolutely. But like I said, like, when you're sitting there and, like, maybe you're transitioning, and next thing you know, a mix includes a song or a chorus or a soundbite of something you love. I feel like you said, that is going to be contagious. Like, that's why I was always kind of on, like, the edge of, like, committing to going to EDM shows because of, like, the fear of going to more of those Skrillex like environments, because that kind of turns me off personally. But then I've seen, like, some of the sets where, like, they like Remix to Ignition, they'll squeeze that in there. I'm like, bro, that shit's fire. Like, so you're like, I feel like EDM is a good opportunity to, like, relive all your genre, like, past, and, like, that's why I've always kind of keep using the word nostalgia. That, like, that's the thing in EDM that I think attracts me, is, like, you're gonna hit me with some songs I know, you're gonna hit me with some sound bites I know, shit like that, and then once you hit it with, like, the bass, and then you do, like, a 360, that whole room will have, like, that environment that you as DJs will cultivate.
I think it's definitely possible to go to an EDM show with as many artists as there are, especially, like, again, in Colorado, in Denver, being the bass capital. Like, there are so many just acts, artists, DJs performing in Denver. It's definitely possible to go to a show and them fucking blow your eardrums out and them not do that.
Yeah,
It's definitely possible. But then, like,
and there's a place for both.
yeah, there is. There's some people who love that. I don't really fuck with that type of EDM personally. But again, that's the shit. It's the different shit that I gravitate towards. The shit that is mixing in R&B, hip hop, sometimes rock. You brought up Grizz earlier. My dog just went to go see Grizz puts on free shows in
shout
Denver
out to
like
Grizz. Shout out
once
Grizz.
a month, man. Like, he just went to go see that with the homies.
Must see. Did he play his sax?
He did
It's
not
so
play his
fire.
sax, but there was a guy in the
Still
crowd.
fire
playing
though.
Free show.
Free show.
in
Free
Denver,
show for
And
Grizz.
it was
For Grizz,
it was
dude.
packed. He announced it 2 hours before the show went on, and
That's
there
how you
had
do
to
it.
be about 1,000 people
Straight
there.
up.
How you
and
do
the
it.
energy
Straight
was
up.
amazing. And also after the show, he pointed out, he's like, "How much did we pay for this show?" Everyone's like, "0." He's like, "All right, what I want you all to do is, as we leave this space, take all your trash, clean it up."
Mhm.
And what happened? There wasn't a single can left in that zone.
Gotta love
Everyone
it.
cleaned the
Oh,
place
dude.
up. Like it is really a beautiful community, and
Gotta love it.
especially his community, the people that he brings. It's an amazing thing.
It's
That's-
unlike
that's something
any
I wanna
other
be part
community.
of.
It
Unlike
is.
anything
Yeah.
else, dude.
It
The
is.
little bit that I got to experience when I did go to those couple of shows with you guys, like I've never seen like an environment where everyone was just so like it was like I've never seen so much serotonin just being dumped in
Yeah.
one environment. Like
Yeah.
Molly helps.
like but being for real though, like I felt like everyone there had the agenda to be happy.
Yeah.
And that was just a beautiful thing. And in that, like when we went to that show, the Outcast show,
I
like
know. I love
like
that show.
that show was so crazy. So like
That show was so
we saw
crazy.
like Waka Flocka, Riff Raff, Grizz, Flostradamus, Major Lazer, and then the main act was Outcast. And like all
that
of those,
was- that-
every single person
Insane
in
lineup.
everyone,
Oh
Insane,
my
dude.
God.
Insane.
everyone in that whole audience like came for everyone knew who they were coming for, you know what I'm saying? Like the main acts had the biggest draw, Outcast being that, and not a single person didn't groove to every artist. Like I've never experienced such a range of music in one place.
Just to touch
personally.
on that show specifically a little bit. That was such a crazy show. That was Outkast's last national tour around
Of their
America
career, yeah.
of their career. And the
So
only
cool.
reason they came to Colorado is because Diplo put on Mad Decent tour, and Diplo fucks with Colorado.
That's what it was, Mad Decent
And
Block
it was
Party.
Mad Decent Block Party, and they brought Outkast, dude. And I actually don't remember. This was back when I was experimenting with shit. You know what I mean? I was a little bit younger.
Your
You gotta-
sexuality?
Nice.
Got me back. Zinger.
Zam.
No, but just like
Let's go.
substances wise. And I really don't remember a lot of that show. I remember Grizz, and I think that's when I started taking things, and I kind of essentially blacked out. And I remember coming to for Outkast.
I can relate to that. So that was my one and only trip. Well, you can assume in
What?
LSD.
Oh, how would the fuck?
It
would we
was
assume that?
statute of limitations. It's
Okay.
over 7 years, but no.
Long time ago.
That was my one and only acid
Hold
trip.
on, he was three dizzle though. You know.
Well,
You were
I
three
bought
da-
a
you were
tab, and then
three-
homie gave me 2 for 1, and then homie at the show gave me another. But
Generous community.
That's again, I had the most splendid time. But I remember, as he was alluding to, like there was an entire segment of the show where I have very little recollection. But I remember during Outkast set, they played the song Aquemini, and in the middle of the song Aquemini, they do the Rain Shakers, and there's that little like interlude before Big Boy comes back and starts killing it. And I remember I came to at that moment because I like snapped out of it. I was just like, oh, this is my song. And then as soon as that happened, as soon as that fucking song happened, like everyone starts clapping. I'm like, stop! Big Boy's about to kill it. And then like sure enough, he killed it. But I will say one of my happiest moments of my entire life is when they play "The Way You Move" or "Hey You" or whatever the name of that song is. I'm sorry for butchering
Those are
it.
two different songs.
They are, yeah. But "The Way You Move," like when they were playing that, I remember that was the moment when I just did like the 360 in the concert, and I was still kind of like,
Yeah.
I knew what was going on, and I was just like, crowd of like 15,000 people just grooving.
Huge.
Everyone was
Grooving,
dancing. That
dancing.
was the most fun I've ever had at a concert, and I don't know how I'm gonna replicate that.
No, man, that
You're
speaks
gonna
to
go to this show at the Broadway. Fuck it. And that's what you're
Spin
gonna do.
some cast.
Let's go. What date? May what?
May 13th.
13th.
Spin that cast, bro.
Make
Hit
Go
these
on,
boys up to
Do-
see them perform.
Do what you was gonna do. Don't take no backseat DJ advice from me.
I mean,
That's heartstrings, bro.
I feel like that speaks to the power of music because I had a very similar experience. That was Outkast pulling me out of that
I stayed at your place at
coma.
that for that
Yeah,
concert.
Yeah, I remember. I do remember that. Oh man, that was such a crazy.
That
time.
was-
a
oh my
long
goodness.
time ago. That was
Such a
long time
vibe.
ago.
What a
7
good
years.
story.
Was that like 2014 when that happened?
Something like that, yeah, right around there.
Long time ago. And to
2014,
think that like
2015.
how the music like the music scene for your sake of your event has kept us like in contact even to this day.
Yeah. Music's a powerful. Music is the drug.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Music is the drug.
it's a great unifier. You know, I mean, people who would have never hung out or never known each other can come together through music. You know, and a lot of the people that are my greatest friends, I would have never probably introduced myself to them or hung out with them if it wasn't for the music. You know, and now they're my closest people. You know.
Are you guys best friends?
We're good friends.
Very good friends.
I actually haven't. Me and Pat haven't hung out in a little while, and prior to this. But like I said, when I was planning this event, I knew exactly who to call. You knew who I wanted on board with me.
Nick leads a little bit different of a lifestyle than I do. He's a bartender, and I work at. It's funny. I kind of didn't want to get into this, but I really don't care because.
Don't say exactly where. Just give us like a general, like you work in.
I work
Arby's?
I work.
His man's got the meats.
Hey,
He's out to get
we
me now.
traded shots.
He's
We
out to
traded
get me now.
shots.
I only
yeah.
did one. He's out to get me now.
Hey,
No, but
he's
I
a
work
rebuttaler.
I work with troubled youth, and you actually had one of my troubled youth on this show one time,
Bro.
Real cool dude, but he's an artist. He's a rapper, and
I could probably.
but we're just on different schedules. All that to say, we're just on different schedules, but. It's that music, man. That music will pull you back in, and
Did you see it and were you like disappointed in him?
no, I feel like he kept it humble. I feel like he was on his best behavior while he was on your show, so I feel like
Hell yeah.
kind of got lucky.
Who was it?
No, you told me not to get into.
Oh, my bad. All
you
right.
told me not to get into D
Right,
Shada.
and-
Oh, I already. I knew that in my head.
and,
No, he's a cool kid.
Ricky, we get that?
Yeah,
Cool.
I got you.
All right. Yeah, he's a good guy. He gave me that shiesty.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the way up on the little thingy up there.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. Word.
And I'm definitely like I party a lot. I have a lot of fun, and that's kind of what this is bred out of. Is I like to have fun, and I want to throw these parties, and I want to help other people have fun, and have a memorable night.
You're 24.
I am.
Wow, I'm 25. I don't have a beard like you at all.
He's
Yeah.
very mature. Very
I
very
started
mature for
early.
his
I
age.
started early. Like
Age.
I said,
He has a
about 16,
very
I
good
was on my
mindset
own.
for your age, man. You
Very
have a
mature
great
for his
mindset
age.
for your age.
I mean, without speaking, just from what I've gotten to dissect from the amount of time I've been around you, it sounds like you were alluding to your past and how like you use music, and so it seems like music has been like a real positive outlet in your life for one reason or another, and I feel like you've cultivated that like mindset to like you're basically like I'm gonna take my strengths and run with them, and not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people have outlets that they are self-directed in, and that takes a lot of discipline and self-motivation. I feel like music isn't easy,
No, I mean I gotta say it's taken literal years of countless hours of study and practice and like technical learning to be able to learn to do what I do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's but it's never been work for me. It's always been fun, and like I've always been kind of like good at picking things up. I feel like I could have probably done anything I wanted to, but for some reason it was the music. I kept coming back to the music, creating something, like being able to sit down and make something and look at it and be like, wow, I made that.
Oh yeah.
And then show it to someone, and then the positive responses are just kind of what I live for. In a way it feels good to be able to share that with people. And then like I said, with the whole like partying aspect and having fun, like I'm looking forward to being able to have an event where people can have fun and just convey my feelings towards it, and just be myself in the purest form.
So, would you say like a potential goal of this show not only is to introduce people to the scene, but also kind of invite other people who are a part of the scene who maybe didn't have the outlet that you're trying to introduce to maybe like be a part of it? Because
For sure.
I don't want to get it too ahead of the show, because this show is obviously most important. That's all you're considering. But you have to have like this is a starting point, and then what's like your next step? Because you don't have a next show maybe pinned yet,
I
but
would
you're
like
gonna
to get into that.
Then
Yeah.
get it off.
So this show, I'm gonna have. I got a friend that's let me borrow a really nice camera with the stabilizer gurney thing, and we're gonna get really good video of both me and Pat. And so this video, my intention with it is to use it to get a picture of me performing, Pat performing, of the crowd, of the vibe we can bring, and use that kind of as a demo going forward to show bars in Denver. So, because I want to start playing clubs in Denver, because that's where the scene is.
Mhm.
However, I really do see a lot of potential in Pueblo, and I plan, if this is successful like I think it is, I want to make it a repeated thing, and
Mhm.
bring on other DJs in town who maybe not have had a platform to start performing, you know what I mean? And like I said, since I've announced this, I've had about 3 people who are like just bedroom producers who have never once like said anything to the public about their craft come to me and be like, hey, like, could I get on this, and I've told them like, well, we're gonna keep doing it. So like that makes me happy to see that, because I think we're gonna surprise people with how much of a positive response it does get, and it's gonna be a thing going forward for sure here, regardless of if I start playing shows in Denver and start doing that. I still want to come back and do this as much as I can.
So would you say you're trying to extend into like ultimately like an entertainment, not necessarily entertainment in the over encompassing like what that word implies, but like you're not just saying like, hey, I'm capable of making really good music. You're trying to say like I'm capable of like throwing these events.
It's curating a vibe, you know what I mean? And it's like the music is a big part of that, and creating good music for people to dance to, but also it comes down to the environment, you know, the show, the lights, the community you bring, the vibes you bring, it all goes together. And when you buy a ticket to someone's show, you're not just buying to listen to their music, you're buying for that experience, you know. And,
oh yeah.
And I just want to provide a really fun experience for people, you know.
Absolutely. That's a good mindset to have. Like, this is kind of corny, but like Starbucks, they say they don't sell coffee, they sell an environment, and that's the exact same mindset.
So don't come if you're a fucking hater.
Yeah.
No
You
bad
guys,
vibes.
you guys got haters?
Honestly,
Doesn't
the way I
everybody?
see it, if
Doesn't everybody got haters?
I don't know.
I don't really have many. I really don't. Because, like, I mean, like, I'm chill, you know? I don't really fight nobody. I don't start nothing with nobody. And if someone does, I kind of just, like, laugh. Like, why? Like, why would you have a problem? You know, I'm chilling. But, I mean, you know, there might be some people who, let's be real here. The Broadway Tavern, it usually is an older crowd in there. You know what I mean? And there will be, and I work there, too. But I know there will be some regulars who are going to be like, what is this? You know what I mean? What is this music? But to be honest, I don't think it's going to matter. I think those people are going to, you know, they have every other day of the week. You know what I mean? To go there. They're going to leave, but we're going to pack it with a bunch of new faces that have never been there, you know, and it's going to be a totally different vibe. And I think that's going to be okay, you know, because, like, I think it is important to have a variety in town for people to have a voice that maybe don't want to go see another classic rock cover band. You know what I mean? Like, they want to see something different in Pueblo, because I know I do. I get tired if I go to another bar and it's just, you know, a bunch of guys just playing, getting drunk, playing songs from 40 years ago, you know, that, you know, they don't even really play that well, you know, and it's like...
Do you guys know who Out the Box is? That company?
Out the Box? No.
They're a company here in town, D-Main. They work with... What?
I think
I think that's Chauncey. I think that's Chauncey.
Chauncey?
Yeah.
Okay.
They throw a lot of shows here in town. Ricky performs in a lot of them. He's opened up for some pretty big names. But
I think I do know D-Man. I think I might have did
a lot of hip hop shows.
I think I might have did a gig with D-Man, and I did a gig with my.
Yo, open the fucking close the door.
Yeah, get in here, y'all. Get in here, y'all.
I did a gig with my boy Key. Kiana, he's a rapper too, and I think D-Man was on that lineup too. That was at what's that bar called? It's like a biker bar in motherfucking
Classic Q.
like Bessemer. No.
Oh no.
It's like, I don't know. It's not important.
But anyway, they throw a lot of shows here in town. We should link you guys up. I bet you can.
Yeah, for sure. I'm down to
use a
collaborate
DJ.
with anyone
Use two few DJs.
that's doing something different in town. You know, like anything that's different from the norm of just cover bands. You know?
Yeah.
I would say D-Main's the only one that's really throwing out good hip hop shows. There's a few others that I don't really know, but
Behind the couch.
consistently good hip hop shows. Out the Box is the only one doing it.
There's a chair over
And
there.
kind of random footnote. Speaking of how you were saying like the locals or the regulars at the show might leave for your guys' show. So like at Out the Box, they've thrown out quite a few shows at Classic Q's. Like Ricky's performed at those, and like believe it or not, a lot of the people who are there just like, oh, I want to go to Classic Q's to play pool. They'll get to the door and they'll see that there's a concert, and even if there's a cover charge, plenty of them will actually still pay to get in just to witness it. And you guys don't have that barrier to entry.
Yeah.
So people just out of curiosity, like, what's this? Like, I'm in Pueblo. I didn't anticipate this. A non-advertised experience, and they still pay to get in. You guys are advertising no pay to get in. I bet you a lot of people will stick it out. I'm not even kidding.
I really do think there will be a good response, even from people who aren't necessarily into EDM, just because you can't deny the vibes. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it's going to come down to. It's going to be just a fun environment. You know,
It's also gonna be loud.
Who doesn't love the
loud.
funk?
There's gonna be drinks vibrating off tables, hopefully. You know?
Oh yeah. Sound systems. Who's 1 hour? We've been going for 1 hour.
So for sound system, I'd like to give a shout out to my good friend Brian Earl. He performs music in town. He also has a band, Brian Earl and the Tribe, and he also plays with Mixed Nuts. He's actually letting me borrow his sound system, which will have two 15-inch speakers with tweeters and one 18-inch subwoofer, powered amplifiers. So we're definitely gonna be driving
Which is probably
that
overkill.
little building.
Yeah, for that
sure.
building.
Probably a little
But that's
overkill.
what I want. You know, I want that place to be filled with sound. I want you to feel that bass really hard.
You guys have any intentions of like maybe doing gigs here locally, just at like local bars and stuff, because there's a lot of bars here that have like DJs, and I feel like if some of them could use a fresh face. No names, but
I'm planning. So, shout out to Adam at the Greenlight. I don't know if y'all know him. We and him have been talking about after this, if this goes well, potentially doing something there. Definitely open to doing that because that's a great venue, great space. You know, a lot more room than the.
They do a lot of reggae.
They do.
I love their reggae shows.
they've had a hip hop show. Like he opened for Devin the Dude there, so they're
Devin
open.
the Dude's kind of hip hop reggae though.
I mean, it's adjacent, but I think that it's a testament to that they're actually a little bit more open-minded than some of the other venues.
I personally don't plan on like DJing consistently like that, only because it goes back to that like business owners are scared, man. Business owners are scared, and it's not that like they don't have a right to be for certain crowds, or whatever your concerns are. I'm just looking to do my own thing. I know Nick. I won't put words in Nick's mouth. I'll definitely be down to perform at the Greenlight, but all these other like consistent places, I think they have consistent DJs who are in their own lane. And if I was to describe them, they're playing great music, but they're keeping it a little bit more safe and traditional than I'm trying to be.
DJ at Senate, basically.
Right. Like I don't plan to play at the Senate.
I don't. And it like
I will say you guys would. The fresh face there with you guys there, like that place gets packed even with some of the tunes that they be twisting. I feel like you guys.
The
would
DJ
kill it.
owns it.
I really don't fuck with the DJ at Senate, and that's
I
not to
don't
throw
either.
shade, but like he is the definition of traditional and
It's
safe.
just way
Chicken
too
Dance
safe.
plays
The,
there frequently.
Bro, he
I-
owns the place.
I
Does
guess
he
you
not?
told me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess you told me the Favorite's closed, but the DJ that was spinning out the Favorite, he was throwing down some good hip
That's
hop.
Damien
Damien
Selects.
Selects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that homie, but he was throwing down some good stuff,
Yeah,
some
he's
good
a
hip hop. He
good
could
friend.
he could fill a dance floor, and then I know my homie Jared's over at Breaker. We got some homies that work at Breaker Arcade Bar too, and he's been a solid DJ too. But
Yeah, no shade, of course.
no shade.
I'm throwing shade.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the breaker.
I'm throwing
DJ,
shade too, bro.
The breaker DJ setup is terrible because there's only like 8 feet of dance floor and there's like a million tables.
That's fair. That's
I
no
would
shade
say
on the
clear some
DJ.
tables,
That's
but
the venue.
That's
But,
the venue.
but as a
Yeah.
DJ, you gotta be
That's
like,
why
yo,
we're moving the tables out of Broadway for this show.
yeah, you gotta be like, yo, let me cultivate my space. Yo, give me like 15 feet. Like 10 feet.
No, that's fair. You
ab-
definitely
ab-
gotta have a dance floor.
But
Yeah,
that's
I
fair.
want to point one thing out about Jared is I know him a little bit, not super well, but I know that I've actually discussed with him about potentially being part of some of these shows I want to do because he wants to do EDM, but at the Breaker Bar, the management there, they've kind of told him to stick to that safe type of genre thing, and so he is kind of limited with his creativity there, which personally, as an artist, I don't want to really perform anywhere that's going to limit my creativity in that sense.
Yo,
If they're
creative
willing to let me
facts.
come in and
I will literally
do
never
my
do
thing.
that. You will never tell me what I'm
Yeah,
gonna play.
exactly.
Like,
I'm not down with that. If they were willing to let me come in and do my thing, sure, but I'm not gonna go in and play, 90s top 40 for you. Like,
I mean, they have a kind of like a small right to be like, yo, just don't play like hard ass
like Deryk.
a lot of N words, a lot of fucking like heavy ass shit like that. I mean, that's like most places, right? Like
I
the
get that,
Pueblo's
but
Got
that's in
Talent
Pueblo.
is just saying
Oh,
that.
fuck
You go to Denver though, anything goes in them clubs. I mean, it
Yeah.
succeeds. It does great. Like
That's
those
true.
clubs are packed, body to body, and the vibes are immaculate because they don't censor. They don't care. You know what I mean? They all have their own vibe. Like Temple's got their house thing. Larimer Lounge has their kind of like dubstep rhythm thing. And all the places have their thing, but it's like they're not afraid of being outwardly what they are. You know what I mean? And I just think Pueblo does try to be a little too safe. You know what I mean? And it works for some of these places, but I think there's a lot of people who are hungry for something different. And
For sure.
You're gonna show them that it sells.
Oh yeah,
That's what this whole opportunity is about.
gonna be a fucking party.
it's
I
gonna
That's
can't
be
all-
wait to see it,
raging.
man.
That's all I
I
really
can't
got.
wait to see it. Really.
Stay tuned. There might be a little bit of an after plan too, which is going to be even wilder. So we'll see about that. But we're hoping to do something with an afters.
Oh yeah. Well, all right, y'all. Is there anything else you guys want to get off your chest before we fucking end this shit?
I'll just say in conclusion, like I said, May 13th, Broadway Tavern. Shout out to Greg in the bar and Steve for letting us do this and letting me see my creative, wacky vision come to fruition there. And it's going to be a good time. There's going to be drink specials. There'll be the food truck. There'll be crunchy beats, heavy bass, and hopefully a lot of friendly faces, a lot of new people. I'm hoping to meet some new people I haven't met.
I'll be there.
I'll be there
Exactly.
too,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
for sure.
We gotta
I
pull
wanna-
up.
I'm gonna
for
be
sure.
off of
I
Molly.
would love to pull out.
I'll be like,
And also, I will have a limited run of shirts that are for this event. I don't know if y'all seen the flyer. It's a pretty cool flyer, I think, and I think it's going to look pretty cool on the shirts. So if anyone wants one, it'll be just for this event. You'll never get one again. So
May 13th, Isomer, Smitherzzz, 3Zs, don't sleep.
Ooh. You guys got to do the concert before then so people could like see what they could expect. It's like what, 3 weeks away?
yeah, I think. about
Yeah,
3
we
weeks
should
away,
do the
exactly.
street champs back to back.
Yeah.
That would be badass.
Yeah, so people.
So that
know.
answers my question if y'all are down to come back on this show.
We'll come back.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
find
As
something.
long as schedule permits and all that.
Of
you
course.
know,
Throw a little
I'm
something down.
definitely down to do something.
Hell yeah.
I'm down to do whatever, really. I mean, whatever gets me playing and out there.
Shout out some upcoming projects too, guys. Any upcoming projects for?
Any
'Cause I think you
music-
said you were working on an
I'm
EP,
working
right?
on an EP. I will be playing the 5 songs. They'll be still unreleased at the point that I'll be playing them. And I'll be saying like, "Hey, this is my song," you know, like.
Yeah,
when I
you'll let
play
them
it.
know.
But shortly after, I don't have an exact time frame for that. I still got to send them off to get mastered and all that. But I will be releasing an EP on SoundCloud, Spotify, all that. You know, shortly after the show under the name Isomer.
Okay.
On Twitter, Isomer_sound. Also on Facebook, you can find me as Nick Latane. That's my personal page. I post a lot of stuff on there, and I'll be updating about any future endeavors I have. You know. And let's do
Smitherzzz
it.
_DJ. I'm posting the mixes, the videos. We're on it.
Mm.
We're with it.
We're doing this.
Fat.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Thank
For
you
sure,
for coming.
for sure.
Yeah, I really
it a lot.
appreciate it. Y'all are the best. That was dope.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
All right, y'all. Street Champs, come get put on. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that shit. Street Champs for mayor. Fuck all the arrests. All right. Peace. What's up, guys? We just hit 1,500 subs. We're trying to make it 2,000. Help us out and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.